We've all seen the photo floating around of Jack Ginnivan with his new coach, Sam Mitchell. We've got another one for you, Ralphie, and it is Jack with the other Jack that he'll be spending some time in the forward line with, Jack Gunston and Jack Ginnivan. Gosh, that's going to make Jack Gunston feel old.
What happens when Jack says, "Pass me the ball, son," and Jack Ginnivan says, "I might just kick it over your head, old fella." So that might put the cat amongst the pigeons.
But not just Jack Gunston that he can learn from. Luke Bruce, who is one of the best small forwards the game has ever seen. I mean, what great players to be able to learn from, and certainly Sam Mitchell would be hoping that that's the lesson he's going to get.
Yeah, that's correct. And so Massimo D'Ambrosio comes in as a recruiter who's done a lot of work on him today. He said, look, he's a little bit slow, but he's one of those Hawthorn left footers, just a beautiful left foot.
Mitchell will like him.
Yeah, him and Scrimshaw and those players with some bounce off half-back. And they've got so much improvement. Changuth Giath, Connor Nash, Connor McDonald, Cam McKenzie, maybe Denver Granger-Barras. Can you see a position for Denver Granger-Barras? They'd love to be able to turn him into just a good, solid B-grade player.
Yeah, they'd love to unlock Granger-Barras. I mean, you invest a pick 6 in him, hasn't quite fulfilled that talent yet. What is he going to be? I mean, you get probably one more crack at it with him to really try and see if he can cement himself in the spot. We've taken, spoken about the Hawks earlier. Look, the upside with the players, in particular Ginnivan and Chol, is there. Like, we know the talent's there. The question is that consistency and doing it week in, week out at AFL level, and at a team that's probably still a couple of years away from being a finals team. That's the question mark for me. They went after the big fish, Mackay and Radigalia, didn't land them. They went after Liam Henry, didn't land him as well. So it probably hasn't been as successful as a period as they like, and they've lost Tyler Brockman, who for me I think's got high upside, huge upside as an elite small forward. So a bit of a hit and miss period for the Hawks.
Shocked everyone last year, I think, with how good they were in blocks of 2023, and they played some serious footy against some really good teams. So I'm not going to be too hard on them. I think that everything they said they were going to do, they've ticked. It's a slow burn. It is so difficult to work your way back up the AFL table via the draft, and they're living it right now. It's a shocking place to be. And as you know, that you see the picks they got coming in, 4 then back to 44. Like, it's a big gap. You get 1 star coming in the door. They've managed to make absolute top liners in Day and Newcomb the pillars for this midfield, and that looks terrific going forward. Sicily's been a great leader for them down back. It's just more of the same. It's more training hours, more on-field minutes, stacked 2,000 minutes again next year for some of these young players, and let's find out what sort of ceiling that they've got, because some of their kids, they've got half a dozen players that are going to become seriously good.
And Ralph, even though that 44, 47, 49 looks ordinary, we know they've got a father-son. They're going to use those picks on young McCabe, who is probably a top 20, top 25 talent. So they do get 2 top-enders coming in this draft.
Yeah, and we saw with Mitch Lewis, he had that partially torn ACL. He missed the first 6 or 7 weeks. They could not score. And then that very popular suspension to their captain in James Sicily, they could not defend. And so what did we say? Go and get some more depth players. They've got a couple of exciting forwards, or 3 exciting forwards. They've got Massimo D'Ambrosio. So again, you just fill out those positions when your stars aren't at their best or are not even on the field.
What does he kick, Jack Ginnivan, next year? How many goals?
Ooh,
38.
question.
38, that'd be a good result.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if he kicks 30, he's had a good year. If he kicks 30 goals, I think that's a big win for Hawthorn.
I'm with you.
What about Jack Gunston?
I think
how many games will Jack play?
Well, I think 10 to 12 would be perfect for all parties. Have another on-field coach out there. He can go behind the ball when they need him to do that. And I think during the week he's going to be just as important as he is game day, to educate these youngsters how to prepare, how to train, what AFL standard looks like. That's probably his role right now, and that'd be the sell. If I was getting Jack back, that'd have to be part of the sell.
Yeah, and I think we've been critical too. Jack, why did you go up to Brisbane? Why have you decided to come back? He lost his father, an absolute pillar of his family and the AFL community too, in Ray. And so, it was a difficult decision. It didn't work out for him. And so we're not being critical to say, why did you come back and forth? We're just saying, is it the perfect fit at Hawthorn? I'm not sure, but he's an extraordinary person and a good footballer, and as you say, a great leader on and off the field.
Wish him the very best and hope that this really does work out for him. Richmond, Ralphie, they were the big movers and shakers this time last year, but they haven't really done too much in 2023.
So they lose Ivan Solder as their backup ruckman despite 2 weeks of denials. We're going to keep him, and then they didn't. They get back pick 41 and a future second rounder. So it's good enough to let him go if they can get a Scott Lysette as a backup, but there's not many of those backup ruckmen floating around. Samson Ryan would need to step up. Jacob Kazicki comes in for pick 49, but only 9 goals in 12 games this year. 27 goals out of 20 in his first first year in football. Guys, I'd ask you the question. It's all about the young breed coming through. Have you seen enough of Banks and Cumberland and Judson Clark and Sonsie and Thompson Dow to think, I like a couple of those guys and they can be the next day graders at Richmond?
Ooh, it's a hard one to absolutely endorse
Haven't
or
seen a lot
go,
of
or
them,
go
have we,
the other
have
way. And I like the fact the new coach coming in, new system, it's going to look different regardless. Same talent asked to do different things and perform different functions. I'm concerned with the Gibcus delay with injury. It looks like that's going to blow out again. So that's a worry because that's the elite pick of the previous draft. So it is hard to know with Richmond. When you look at their squad, do you fall in love with what they can do in the short term? In the back of my mind, I'm worried about the long term. I think this is a mini reset, a mini rebuild on the run, and maybe we just got to enjoy what's been for the previous 4 to 5 years and say, OK, we're going to suffer for the next 2 to 3.
It's interesting where you want to draw the line with Richmond. Everyone talks about, oh, they're 21 and unders, but they've still got so many players high in talent that are 24, 25. When you talk about Bolter and Bolton and Baker and, you know, even Taranto's still not that old, and Riol, they've still got a lot of guys that are still young enough to be a part of the next phase, whenever that is for Richmond. It might be a bit quicker than you think. The Kosicki one, for me, I think that they'll either do two things. He either just plays a role as that really competitive tall forward that Richmond have been used to bring the ball to ground and allow the smalls to play that style. Or the other thing that I would consider, I think Kosicki would make a great key defender. And I would look at maybe moving a Bolter or a Gibcus as it may be a permanent forward to work alongside Tom Lynch for a year or two and then maybe take the reins. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with Jacob Kosicki.
Not a really strong draft hand either. Pick 29 is their first pick.
Gave them away
draft.
for the Taranto hopper.